the past, worrying about the past, worrying about the future, wondering how the future is going to look, then today's conversation will be very powerful for you. I'm going to talk about how to live more present in the moment, how to live in the now. And this has been kind of my focus over the last week or so, is just how to bring myself back to center. And, you know, the thing is that the egoic mind, the mind wants us to constantly be searching for, you know, certainty and control and everything that is not the now, and really dropping down into the beingness of who you are. And what I consider, you can call it the higher self, you can call it the true self versus the false self, you can call it your knowingness, whatever it is that you want to call it. That's where the present lives. And the power of that now is that you are then quiet and present and just very focused on what's possible, versus the worry, versus the stress, versus the past, versus the future, right? And so I call it future tripping, when we're worried and looking into the future and you know, we're wondering, when is our goals going to be met? What is this going to happen? When is that going to happen, right? And so if you find yourself like bouncing from, this is what occurred yesterday, and I'm really worried about how it's going to look in the future, right? You're not living in the current moment. And the power of living in the current moment is number one, pure joy, pure bliss, pure happiness. And this is something, of course, I strive for. It is not something I have mastered. It is a practice. And I always say that life is about being a practitioner, not just a student. And so we can learn these things. You can hear my message today. But the most important thing to take away from this is, how do I practice it? And so I want to give you a couple strategies to do just that. And so before I do so, if you're here live, say hello. And of course, if you're on the replay, hit #replay and I'll say hello to you on the back end, right? So the things that I want to share with you today, number one, step one is to recognize where you are. Where are you living? And I noticed this even yesterday profoundly. I was paying attention more to, am I having a thought and worrying about something in the future or in the past? Where am I, right? So you have to recognize where you are and start to outsmart the ego. I always talk about how do we outsmart the egoic mind? And so when you are recognizing where you are, then you have another choice in that moment to come back to center, right? So if you find yourself, for instance, yesterday I was thinking about, so yesterday was a Monday. And so I was thinking about, what am I going to be doing Tuesday? What is my plan for tomorrow? What do I need to work on? It was all like just futuristic, right? Future. And so I just recognized it. And then I brought myself to the present moment. Like, what am I choosing to do right now? And yesterday was a great productive day. It was, I had a great call with a friend of mine, and then I went straight into writing my book, and being present for that is important, because any distractions or anything else takes me out of that flow. So I wrote for a couple hours on my new book coming out, and that's been something that's been quite challenging for me lately. And I've been worried about, what is the book going to do? How's it going to look? What's the finished product? And that's all futuristic. And so coming back to center, just being in the moment, just choosing, what am I going to do next? What's the next second look like? Right? Versus the next hour, next day, next month, next year. And it's interesting, because I also stop and just remind myself, like, wow, how many present moments have I come through, and look at where I am today, right? It's almost like it's like a time warp, right? It's a time illusion, which we all live in. The time is not real. We've constructed it for our own sanity, our ego's sanity. And so I just was like, wow, we've lived here in California for over a year now. And it's like every moment just passes, right? And it's like, and then you show up where you are. So the more we recognize where we are living, I think the more calm, the more peace, the less stress, right? Less worry we will have. And so the second strategy to help you move into that space of the now, move into the present moment, is I consider, breathing, moving, and meditation. These three things are extremely powerful at just reconnecting you to this moment. So focusing on your breath, focusing on movement. For instance, yesterday went and did a hike in the mountains, in the hills, and all I could do was focus on just breathing and moving and taking one step in front of the other and enjoying the sunshine and feeling, the beauty that was surrounding me in the nature. So nature is another great idea. And so those are different strategies to bring yourself back to a present moment. And now, of course, if you're working out or you're walking or you're hiking or whatever it is, and you find yourself thinking about everything else in the world, or your future self, right, your future goals, then again, come back to breath, come back to focus. And meditation, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful tools that we have available. And if you're like me, I used to say, I don't have time. I can't sit still. My mind just races, all of that. I've used all the excuses. So I highly recommend starting today, practicing, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And the truth is the more you do it, the more, practice you give it, the better you get. And I also recognize that it took me about 30 minutes. Actually, it takes me about 15 minutes to quiet the mind. And then I stay in that present moment and that calm experience for 30 minutes if I can. Because if I just do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, my mind is still racing and I basically have, not really calm that voice down. And the voice is your ego. The ego is uncomfortable being silent. It's not familiar with that. It's like a 5-year-old toddler. It's like, hold on a minute. I got to keep playing. I got to keep busy. I got to, keep moving. And that's the part that we have to practice, is outsmarting that ego and letting it know it's safe and that it's well, and that, you don't have to worry about getting quiet. And some emotions might show up because we don't get quiet enough to even realize what's under the surface, right? So I think that too is part of our protective mechanism when we have the excuses and the justifications called, I don't have time, I can't get quiet enough, my mind is racing. This is how the ego works. This is how the ego powers over us. And so I just, again, highly recommend some form of meditation, quiet time, just sitting in nature, whether it's sitting outside. I put up a hammock under my deck, and it's like sitting in the hammock, just relaxing, being quiet, finding that quiet space, because all that matters is this moment. And I have to remind myself that every single day. And so it is a daily practice for sure. Then, of course, the third one, we've all heard this, but do we do it? That's the question, is to make a gratitude list, to think of things that you're grateful for in the moment. And, because it brings you back to what's so and what's appreciated versus what you don't have, what you can't fix, what you can't control, how, and worrying about all of those things that are either past projection or future tripping. So those are the three ideas that I wanted to give you today. Recognize where you are living in the moment. In this second, where are you? Are you, present to just this conversation? I would gather you're here for a reason. If you've shown up to this video, you needed to hear it. Are you worrying about like, wow, I can't do that tomorrow. I can't do that today. How am I going to get this done? What's my bank account going to look like in a week? What's my, business going to look like in a month? Like all of those future tripping conversations keep you out of the present moment. And the present moment is okay. We're here. We're in the moment, right? So that's number one. Number two, move, breathe, meditate, something to get, physically present, emotionally present, and just calming the mind. And then ultimately, create that gratitude list. So how to live in the present moment, how to tap into the power of the now, and to recognize, more importantly, it's like the more you do this, the more nanoseconds you capture, the better you'll get at it, number one. And then second, you will start to experience life differently. And again, join me in being a practitioner, not just the student, not just reading the books, not just watching the videos, but actually putting them into practice and then creating a new experience of your life. And I would love to know what that new experience looks like as you practice. So please share in the comments below. And if you've already started noticing this, I would love to know what's the before, what's the after. And because some of you may be in that practice already, and it would be really powerful to see that transformation, that transcendence happening. So this is my message for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you find value, please share this. Also, I encourage you to jump over to my YouTube channel as well. I'm starting to power up my YouTube channel. If you're not watching this live there, and subscribe. And so you'll be notified of new upcoming videos and content. And final thought, if you'd like to understand your egoic mind and you haven't already taken my free quiz, I highly, highly encourage it. The thing is, the ego takes us out and knocks us off our game and distracts us from our goals all day long. And so I call it the 14 ego tricks. There's 14 ego tricks that I've identified, and the variations within, and they all are housed in what I call the 4 egoic archetypes. You're either the realist, you're the illusionist, the rebel, or the martyr. And it just shows you, it just indicates to you what is your egoic behavior, what's its predominant go-to ego trick, so that you can better understand the things that you say to yourself, the things that you choose to take action on or not take action on, right? It just helps you understand what's really going on, and it's a really powerful indicator of whether you're on track or your ego's hijacking your momentum. So take the quiz. Here's the link. Let me put that on the screen really quick if you haven't already. And if you have taken the quiz, I would love to know what your egoic archetype is. What is your predominant egoic archetype? And type that in the comments as well. And so more and more people are taking the quiz. It's really powerful to see that the results of that. And I just want everybody to have that self-awareness. And of course, there's some tools and such on the back end to help you process through that and to come out on the other side. So until next time, let's go get our brave on. Talk to you soon.